Length of a rectangle is 3 times the length of a smaller rectangle. The two rectangles have the same width. The area of the smaller rectangle is a square units. The area of the larger rectangle is ka square units. Which of the following is the value of k? Always remember, it's your test. You're the one taking it. You do it however you want to. I'm going to show you one way to do it, but you don't have to do it this way. There are multiple ways to solve all of these problems. We have two rectangles here, smaller one and the larger one. It says the length of a rectangle is 3 times the length of a smaller rectangle. So let's say the length of the smaller rectangle is x. Then the length of the larger rectangle would be 3x. The two rectangles have the same width. So just make something up and put it in for the width. Let's say they each have a width of 4. The area of the smaller rectangle is a square units. Remember, to get the area of a rectangle, you take length times width. So in that smaller rectangle, that would be 4 times x. That 4 times x, that's what a equals. The area of the larger rectangle is ka square units. Well, that larger rectangle that we have here would be 4 times 3x. Remember, we made these up ourselves. 4 times 3x is 12x. So that would be equal to ka. So a equals 4x, ka equals 12x. Your job here is to find the value of k. Well, if a equals 4x and ka equals 12x, you gotta have some common sense. What are you multiplying a by to get this? Or what are you multiplying 4x by to get 12x? And that would be 3. K is equal to 3. Letter J. Do not miss this one. A plus 2b plus 3c minus the quantity 4a plus 6b minus 5c is equivalent to which of these? Very simple. Remove the parentheses, combine the like terms. What will get you here is a negative sign. Going to distribute that negative sign through that second set of parentheses. So when you do that, you're taking the negative of 4a, the negative of 6b, and the negative of a negative 5c. So the first set of parentheses, when you remove those, nothing changes. But the second set of parentheses, when you distribute that negative sign through, it's just like multiplying the entire second set of parentheses by negative 1. So the negative of 4a would be negative 4a. You can think of negative 1 times 6b, it's negative 6b. And negative 1 times negative 5c is 5c. If you want to think of multiplying by negative 1, it's the same thing as taking the negative of it. Go back through and combine the like terms. Like terms here, we have a and 4a, that would be 5a. 2b and negative 6b, that is negative 4b. And finally, 3c and 5c, that is 8c. Negative 3a minus 4b plus 8c. Make sure you pick the right answer, letter E. The dimensions of the right triangle shown below are given in feet. What is the sine of theta? In a right triangle, the sine of an angle is the side opposite that angle over the hypotenuse. So it's the ratio of the opposite side over the hypotenuse. In a right triangle, the hypotenuse is the side across from the right angle. So in this right triangle, the hypotenuse is C. So when you look at an angle theta here, the side opposite angle theta is side A, the hypotenuse is C. So the ratio of the opposite side over the hypotenuse would, in this case, be A over C. So the sine of theta is A over C. And looking at the answer choices, that is letter G. In a basketball passing drill, 5 basketball players stand evenly spaced around a circle. The player with the ball, the passer passes it to another player, the receiver. The receiver cannot be the player to the passer's immediate right or left and cannot be the player who last passed the ball. A designated player begins the drill as the first passer. This player will be the receiver for the first time on which pass the ball. There's really not much of a way to work this out other than drawing a circle and seeing what happens. So let's say that 1 passes to 3. So 1 is the first passer, passes to 3. 3 cannot pass to 2 or 4 and cannot pass back to 1. So 3 must pass to 5. So 3 passes to 5, 5 can't pass to 1 or 4, can't pass back to 3, and 5 must pass to 2. 2 can't pass to 1 or 3, not their immediate right or left. Can't pass back to 5, 2 must pass to 4. And then once 4 gets it, 4 can't pass to 3 or 5, can't pass back to 2, 4 must pass back to 1, which 1 started this drill off being the first passer. So the question is, this player will be the receiver for the first time on which pass of the ball. You can count those passes on your own, but it's going to come out to be 5. On the 5th pass, letter B. Lines P and N lie in the standard XY coordinate plane. An equation for line P is y equals 0.12x plus 3,000. The slope of line N is 0.1 greater than the slope of line P. What is the slope of line n? Well, you do have to know about slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b. When you have an equation in this form, the slope is the number in front of the m, the coefficient of x, and b is the y-intercept. So in this equation, y equals 0.12x plus 3,000, the slope is the 0.12. And if line n is 0.1 greater than that, so line n is 0.1 greater than 0.12, just add 0.12 and 0.1 together, and that's what you're looking for, which is 0.22. So to have a slope that is 0.1 greater than the slope of line P, line N must have a slope of 0.22, letter H. The expression negative 8x to the third times quantity 7x to the sixth minus 3x to the fifth is equivalent to which of these? Notice the answers. I have a lot of 56s, a lot of 24s, and a lot of different exponents. You have to watch your exponents here. Going to use the distributive property with the negative 8x to the third. Take negative 8x to the third times 7x to the sixth, and then take negative 8x to the third times negative 3x to the fifth. Watch your signs and your exponents. Negative 8 times 7, that is negative 56, so you know it's either going to be A, B, C, D, A, B, C, or D. But your exponents are what the difference is up there. X to the third times x to the sixth. When you're multiplying with the same base, you add the exponents. So that x to the third times x to the sixth will be x to the ninth. So it's negative 56x to the ninth. And then negative 8 times negative 3 is positive 24. And x to the third times x to the fifth, again, add your exponents. That is going to be x to the eighth. So negative 56x to the ninth plus 24x to the eighth, letter A. You have negative 3 times the absolute value of negative 6 plus 8. Work inside the absolute value signs first. Take negative 6 plus 8, that is 2. So you're looking at negative 3 times the absolute value of 2. Notice one of the answers up here is positive 6, but that's not the right answer. The absolute value is the distance away from 0. So that's saying how far is 2 away from 0? It is 2 away from 0. So negative 3 times 2, that is going to be negative 6, which is letter G. In right triangle ACE below, BD is parallel to AE. Also, BD is perpendicular, so BD is perpendicular to EC at point D. So this BD is perpendicular to EC. Length of AC is 20 feet. So AC is given there as 20 feet. The length of BD is 3, that's shown. And the length of CD is 4, that's also shown. What is the length of AE? So we need to find this distance here. Well, you have two similar triangles that are created. There's triangle AEC and triangle BDC. Those are similar triangles. This length of BC is proportional to the length of AC. So this short side BC is proportional to AC. So BC on the small triangle is proportional to AC on the big triangle. First thing we're going to do is find this length of BC. So we're going to fill in this missing side right here on this small triangle. To do that, simply use the Pythagorean theorem. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. Sum of the squares of the two legs is equal to the square of the hypotenuse, that is the Pythagorean theorem. So take 3 squared plus 4 squared, that equals C squared, where C is this missing side, this BC. If you square 3, it's 9. If you square 4, it's 16, and that's still equal to C squared. 25 is equal to C squared, then take the square root of both sides. C would be equal to 5. So this missing side, this BC right here, is 5. So now that we have that done, you can create a proportion. You can think of the big triangle and the small triangle in creating your proportion. So side AE in the big triangle and side BD in the small triangle, you could say that AE is to BD as AC in the big triangle is to BC in the small triangle. So once again, AE in the big triangle is to BD in the small triangle, as AC in the big triangle is to BC in the small triangle. And then fill in what you know. Well, you don't know side AE, that's what you're finding. You know side BD is 3, that's given to you. Side AC is also given to you, that's 20. And then we found this small side BC to be 5. Just cross multiply and divide. Take 5 times x. That's equal to 3 times 20. So once you have your proportions set up, cross multiply and then divide. X equals 12. Remember, x was this missing side we were looking for, AE, and that is 12, letter B. As part of a lesson on motion, students observed a cart rolling at a constant rate along a straight line, as shown in the chart below. They recorded the distance y feet of the cart from a reference point at 1 second intervals, from t equals 0 seconds to t equals 5 seconds. So these are the 1 second intervals, and y, that's the feet that the cart traveled. Which of the following equations represents this data? Well, the thing that stands out to me here is where t is equal to 0. Think about your xy axis. When x is equal to 0, that's the y-intercept. So where t is equal to 0, this 14 would be the y-intercept. Now, if you think about slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b, b is the y-intercept. So with 14 being the y-intercept, your constant term should be 14. So looking at that, I can see that g is not an answer. J and k, those are not answers as well. The only possible answers would be f and h. And then you're left with finding the slope. Well, to find the slope, you could take y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1 with any of these 2 points. So just take these first two. If you take y2 minus y1, change in y over change in x, it's going to be 5 over 1. So that's telling me right there that the answer is G. That's one way to look at it, is think about slope-intercept form. Another way is to think about what's happening to t in order to produce y. What's going on with this t in order to produce y? And you could also think about substituting those in. Put these values of t in. Now it's going to be time consuming, especially if it's the last answer and you're going through each one of these substituting t in. But there's several ways to approach this problem. I think the easiest way is to think about slope-intercept form when you're given that y-intercept being 14, because immediately that eliminates g, j, and k, and you're left with f and h to pick from, and then all you have to do is find the slope. So no matter how you think about it, I already told you the answer is h, and that's what it's going to be. You could also, like I said, think about what's happening to t in order to produce y. Well, the t is being multiplied by 5, and you're adding 14 to it, and that's letter H. So many ways to do that, many ways to approach that. Letter H is the answer.